Mia, I want you to look at the world around us right now. Everything is moving at a terrifying hyperspeed pace. We have smartphones that get upgraded every 12 months, fashion trends that last for exactly 2 weeks on social media, apps that promise to deliver your groceries in 10 minutes, and artificial intelligence creating thousands of new images every second. Everything is fast, everything is disposable, and everything is cheap. We live in a culture of instant gratification where nothing is built to last anymore.
Oh, Simon, it is completely exhausting. You buy a brand new electronic device today, and by next year it feels like an ancient piece of junk because the company released a slightly shinier version. We are constantly chasing the next big thing, scrolling through endless feeds of noisy content and consuming products that are designed to break within a couple of years. But look at what happens when people get overwhelmed by this digital chaos. They don't look forward into the future, they turn around and look back into the past.
Exactly. They listen to vinyl records from 40 years ago. They collect vintage leather jackets. They buy classic cars from the 1970s, watch old cinema classics, and pay a massive premium for antique wooden furniture. When the present world becomes too shallow, noisy, and disposable, human beings naturally crave depth, silence, and durability. This isn't just a random preference, it is a deep psychological survival mechanism. There is a profound reason why every single culture across the globe shares the exact same timeless proverb: old is gold.
Welcome back to the Mia and Simon podcast. I am Mia, and he is Simon, the man who still writes his daily schedule in a physical leather notebook because he says digital calendars lack soul. If you are tired of living in a hyperspeed, disposable culture, if you feel a strange sense of comfort when you listen to old music or visit ancient places, and if you want to understand the deep psychological and economic secrets behind nostalgia, you are in the perfect room. Today, we have a complete 8-part journey to break down why the past holds a unique power over our minds and how you can use this vintage value to build a more meaningful life.
But before we dive into the treasure chest of history, we need your absolute focus. If you are ready to look past the superficial noise of temporary modern trends and discover the timeless principles of lasting quality, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel right now. We're building a massive global community of deep thinkers, independent minds, and intentional producers who appreciate substance over hype. When you subscribe, you are telling your brain that you choose quality over speed. It's the ultimate way to support our independent channel and guarantee you get our weekly deep dives.
Join the squad. Let's uncover these timeless truths together. And hey, if you have a friend who is always spending all their money chasing every single new tech gadget or fast fashion trend, but remains completely stressed out and unfulfilled, hit that share button and send this episode to them right now. Give them a vintage perspective.
Let's get to work. We are going to show you why the oldest things in the world are often the most valuable assets you can possess. Are you ready to step away from the modern chaos and explore the deep architecture of the past? Let's go. The psychology of nostalgia. Mia, let's explore the human mind. Why is it that when we look back at our childhood or the decades before we were even born, we feel a deep sense of warmth? Psychology calls this phenomenon rosy retrospection. It is a beautiful defensive feature built into human biology. Your brain has a natural emotional filter. Over time, it systematically minimizes old pain, boredom, and anxiety while keeping the happy, peaceful, and meaningful memories completely bright. The past feels safer because we already know how the story ends.
That is so true, Simon. When I think about my school days, I completely forget about the terrifying math exams, the stressful mornings when I missed the bus, or the awkward teenage drama. Instead, my brain only replays the sound of rain during lunch breaks, the taste of cheap street food with my friends, and the complete freedom of summer vacations. We romanticize the past because it represents a time before we had to pay taxes, manage complex careers, and handle the heavy burdens of adult responsibility. The past is an emotional sanctuary.
Exactly. Nostalgia is not just a cheap sentiment, it is a vital psychological tool. When a person faces severe stress, loneliness, or uncertainty in the present day, their mind automatically pulls up old memories to stabilize their mood. It reminds them of who they are, where they came from, and that they have survived difficult times before. This is why, during periods of global crisis or economic downturns, the consumption of classic media skyrockets. People don't want experimental new art, they want comfort food for their consciousness.
It makes perfect sense, Simon. The phrase old is gold is actually a testament to human resilience. By viewing history through a golden lens, we give ourselves an internal anchor. But this psychological value doesn't just stay inside our heads, it translates directly into the physical world. The things created in the past were built under a completely different economic philosophy than the items we buy today.
Beautifully put, Mia. The past wasn't just mentally comforting, it was physically durable. In the next section, we are going to look at the industrial shift that turned modern manufacturing into a disposable joke and why older objects hold an unshakable premium. And for our amazing listeners, if you're ready to appreciate the deep psychological power of your own roots, hit that like button and subscribe right now.
Join the squad. Tell us in the comments below, what is one specific memory from your childhood that instantly brings a smile to your face whenever you feel stressed? Let's share some positive energy. And if you know someone who is constantly anxious about the future and needs a reminder to ground themselves in timeless comfort, hit that share button and send the section to them.
Grounding your mind is the first step. Now, let's look at the physical proof of why older creations continue to outperform the modern market.
Time to talk about real craftsmanship.
The Lindy effect. Mia, let's look at a brilliant concept popularized by the thinker Nassim Nicholas Taleb called the Lindy effect. It is a mathematical theory about non-perishable things like ideas, books, technologies, or cultural traditions. The law states that for these things, their future life expectancy is directly proportional to their current age. If a book has been in print for 2,000 years, like the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, math tells us it will likely be read for another 2,000 years. But if a book was published last Tuesday, it will probably be completely forgotten by next month.
Oh, that is a complete flip on how we usually think about the world, Simon. We always assume that newer is better, but the Lindy effect shows us that time is a brutal executioner. Every single year, the world throws millions of new ideas, music tracks, and products at the wall. 99% of them wash away because they are shallow, trendy, or poorly made. The small handful of things that survive the test of 50, 100, or 1,000 years do so for a reason. They contain an undeniable core element of truth, quality, or utility.
Exactly. Time filters out the noise and leaves only the gold. Think about architecture. We look at the ancient pyramids, the Colosseum, or centuries-old stone temples, and we marvel at their beauty. Why? Because the poorly built structures from those ancient eras collapsed thousands of years ago. Only the masterpieces survived. This is why old is gold isn't a cliché, it is a statistical reality. If an object, a piece of wisdom, or a recipe has survived generations of human history, it has already proven its worth against the ultimate critic, time.
It places a massive premium on vintage wisdom, Simon. In our modern rush to innovate, we often throw out old traditions, old diets, or old social habits, thinking we are being progressive. But then we realize that our new inventions cause massive, unforeseen problems, like modern ultra-processed foods ruining our health, or social media algorithms destroying our focus. The old ways of doing things survived because they were aligned with human biology and nature over thousands of years. They had built-in structural balance.
Beautifully put, Mia. Don't automatically trade a time-tested ancient strategy for a shiny new modern trend. Innovation is great for things that decay, like microchips, but for things that relate to human nature, values, and art, the oldest paths are almost always the wisest paths. And for our amazing listeners, if you're ready to start looking at history through the lens of mathematical longevity, hit that like button and subscribe right now.
Join the squad. Let's build a foundation on timeless principles. Tell us in the comments, what is one piece of advice your grandparents gave you that you used to ignore, but now realize is absolute gold? Let's celebrate that vintage wisdom. And if you know someone who is always chasing the latest lifestyle fads and burning themselves out, hit that share button and send this section to them.
Leaning on time-tested concepts saves you from constant trial and error. But beyond the abstract ideas, there's a very literal physical reason why older objects outperform modern ones. It comes down to a deliberate corporate strategy that changed the manufacturing world forever.
Oh, modern stuff is practically designed to break.
Built to break. Mia, let's talk about a literal physical fact. If you go into an old house built in the 1950s or 1960s, you will often find an old blender, a sewing machine, or an old fan that still functions perfectly. They are heavy, they are made of solid metal, and they look like tanks. But today, if you buy a premium smartphone, a television, or a washing machine, it is practically guaranteed to slow down, break its plastic gears, or experience a software failure within 3 to 5 years. This isn't an engineering accident. It is a deliberate economic strategy called planned obsolescence.
Oh, it is the ultimate corporate scam, Simon. In the early days of manufacturing, engineers took massive pride in building things that would last a lifetime. But corporate executives quickly realized a brutal capitalist truth. A product that lasts forever is a disaster for future sales. If a customer buys one light bulb or one car and it never breaks down, that factory will eventually go out of business because it runs out of buyers. So, they intentionally engineered products with fragile components, cheap plastic joints, and unreplaceable batteries, so you are forced to buy a replacement every few years.
Exactly. The most famous historical example of this was the Phoebus Cartel in the 1920s, where the world's leading light bulb manufacturers secretly colluded to intentionally lower the lifespan of light bulbs from 2,500 hours to exactly 1,000 hours just to increase repeat sales. Today, tech companies do this through software updates that subtly slow down older phone models or by making spare parts so expensive that it is cheaper to buy a brand new device than to fix a single broken screen. Modern items are designed to become garbage.
It makes you appreciate old things so much more. When you buy a vintage item today, whether it's an old mechanical watch, a solid oak dining table, or a vintage leather jacket, you are paying for an era before planned obsolescence existed. You are paying for a time when materials were raw, heavy, and authentic, and when craftsmen built things as a statement of their personal reputation. That is why old things feel like gold. They possess an internal honesty and weight that modern plastic cannot replicate.
Beautifully put, Mia. Modern manufacturing gives us cheap abundance, but it completely destroys depth and durability. When people say old is gold, they are remembering a time when objects had an actual soul and a lifetime guarantee. If you want to build real material value in your life, stop buying cheap disposable trends. Start investing in timeless pieces that grow more beautiful with age. And for our amazing listeners, if you are ready to reject disposable culture and start valuing real, uncompromised quality, hit that like button and subscribe right now.
Join the squad. Let's stand up for real craftsmanship. Tell us in the comments below, what is the oldest physical object you own in your house that still works flawlessly today? Let's hear your vintage success stories. And if you know someone who is constantly spending thousands of dollars on cheap, modern gadgets that break down every year, hit that share button and send this section to them.
Buying things that last protects your wealth and your peace of mind. But beyond physical items, this rule applies heavily to our cultural expressions. Let's look at why old art, music, and stories continue to dominate our emotional landscapes.
Oh, modern music has nothing on the classics.
Timeless culture. Mia, let's talk about a major complaint that you hear from almost every generation as they grow older. People look at modern cinema, modern pop music, or modern literature and say everything today sounds exactly the same. The lyrics are shallow, the movies are just special effects, and there is no real passion anymore. Music was so much better in the 1970s or the 1980s or the 1990s. Is this just older people being grumpy, or is there an actual objective truth hidden behind their complaints?
Oh, I think it is a mix of both, Simon, but there is a massive cognitive bias at play here. When we think about the music of the 1970s, what do we actually remember? We remember legendary bands like Queen, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, or ABBA. We think that every single song in that decade was a masterpiece, but we completely forget that 95% of the music produced in 1975 was absolute unlistenable garbage. It was cheap, it was repetitive, and it was completely forgettable.
Exactly. This is what cultural critics call survival bias. Time acts as a massive natural purification filter for art. Over 40 or 50 years, all the mediocre songs, the boring books, and the generic movies are completely erased from human memory. They vanish into oblivion. Only the top 1% of absolute masterpieces manage to survive and get passed down to the next generation. So when we compare a curated playlist of the absolute greatest hits of the past 40 years against the raw, unfiltered noise of everything released on Spotify today, the past will always look like gold.
It is such a brilliant point, Simon. The past looks incredibly rich because only the rich parts survived the journey. But there's also a secondary truth here. In the pre-digital era, creating an album or making a movie was incredibly expensive and difficult. You couldn't just download a cheap software program on your laptop and auto-tune your voice in your bedroom. To get a record deal or a movie budget, you had to possess raw, undeniable, world-class talent, and you had to spend years mastering an actual physical instrument. The barrier to entry was exceptionally high.
Beautifully put, Mia. Because the barrier was so high, the human effort invested into older art was immense. Musicians spent months rehearsing in a single room to capture a perfect analog recording on tape. Directors had to build massive physical sets and coordinate thousands of real extras instead of using cheap computer graphics. This deep human sacrifice, sweat, and raw limitations gave older art a unique texture, a weight, and an emotional soul that modern, perfectly polished digital media simply cannot duplicate. Older art is a direct reflection of uncompromised human capability.
It has real gravity, Simon. When you listen to a classic track, you are listening to a piece of history that earned its right to survive. And for our amazing listeners, if you are ready to filter out the modern digital noise and start feeding your mind with timeless artistic masterpieces, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Join the squad. Let's elevate our cultural taste together. Tell us in the comments below, what is one old movie, song, or book from a previous generation that you believe is vastly superior to anything being made today? Let's share our favorite classics. And if you know someone who is completely addicted to scrolling through short, shallow videos and has forgotten the joy of deep, timeless art, hit that share button and send this section to them.
Surrounding yourself with timeless art upgrades your mind. But this golden rule of the past doesn't just apply to our external culture, it applies directly to our internal biological networks. In the next section, we look at how your physical body relies entirely on ancient code to survive.
Oh, your genetics are the oldest gold of all.
The wisdom of your biology. Mia, let's look at the absolute ultimate example of the phrase, old is gold. It isn't an antique watch. It isn't a piece of classical music, and it isn't an ancient stone temple. It is the biological code hidden inside your DNA. Your physical body is a magnificent piece of organic engineering that was designed, tested, and perfected over millions of years of evolutionary history. Every single organ, every hormone, and every metabolic pathway in your system was built to thrive in a specific natural environment.
Oh, but look at what we have done to that environment in the last 50 years, Simon. We have completely revolutionized how we live, eat, and move. We invented ultra-processed foods packed with artificial chemicals, high-fructose corn syrup, and synthetic preservatives. We invented comfortable office chairs and soft couches that allow us to sit completely still for 15 hours a day. We invented glowing digital screens that blast our eyes with fake blue light at 2 a.m., destroying our sleep cycles. We think we are being incredibly advanced, but our biology views this modern lifestyle as an absolute assault.
Exactly, because 3 decades of industrial food production cannot overwrite 2 million years of evolutionary design. This mismatch is the exact root cause of the modern global health crisis. We have skyrocketing rates of chronic fatigue, obesity, diabetes, and mental anxiety. Why? Because we are treating our ancient high-performance bodies like cheap trash bins. Your body does not understand a potato chip, it does not understand a soft drink, and it certainly does not understand sitting on a couch for an entire week. It is built to move, to hunt, to fast, and to eat real, single-ingredient foods from the earth.
It is a powerful realization, Simon. When it comes to human health, old is truly gold. The most cutting-edge medical and nutritional science today is actually discovering that the best way to optimize your body is to simply replicate the habits of our ancient ancestors. Think about the biggest health trends of the modern era: intermittent fasting, lifting heavy weights, walking barefoot on the grass, taking cold plunges, and eating a clean, whole food diet. These aren't fancy new discoveries, they're just basic human baseline settings from 10,000 years ago.
Beautifully put, Mia. We don't need a magical new synthetic pill or a complex biohacking gadget to feel alive. We just need to respect our evolutionary blueprint. Sleep when the sun goes down, walk under the open sky, drink pure water, and eat what nature provided. When you align your daily habits with your ancient biology, your energy skyrockets, your mind clears up, and your body heals itself automatically. Your DNA already holds the master key to elite health. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
Respect your design, Simon. Your body is a temple built by time, not a laboratory experiment. And for our amazing listeners, if you are ready to honor your biology, ditch the artificial modern junk, and reclaim your natural, unshakable energy, hit that like button and subscribe right now.
Join the squad. Let's return to our roots and build real physical strength together. Tell us in the comments, what is one ancient health habit, like morning sunlight or whole foods, that has completely transformed your energy levels? Let's share our biological wisdom. And if you know someone who is always sick, exhausted, and relying on energy drinks to survive their modern routine, hit that share button and send this section to them. Help them heal.
Reclaiming your physical health changes your internal vitality, Simon. But to truly complete this vintage roadmap, we have to look at the peak of human maturity, how our relationships and social networks change when we value depth over speed.
The ultimate social asset. The value of old friendships. Mia, let's look at how the modern digital world has completely cheapened the word friend. Today, if you click a button on a social media app, you can instantly add 1,000 friends to your profile. You can see what they ate for breakfast, you can see their vacation photos, and you can exchange short, superficial text messages with them every single month. But the moment you face a real crisis in your life, the moment your business goes bankrupt or you go through a painful heartbreak, those 1,000 digital contacts vanish into thin air. They are fair weather spectators.
Oh, it is a devastating illusion, Simon. We are more digitally connected than any generation in human history, yet we are objectively the loneliest. We mistake active data exchange for real human intimacy. But a true, deep human relationship cannot be manufactured by an algorithm in an afternoon. It requires time, shared sacrifice, arguments, forgiveness, and years of consistent presence. This is why an old friendship, a connection that has survived for 10, 20, or 30 years, is an absolute psychological masterpiece. It is pure gold.
Exactly, because an old friend holds a unique mirror to your soul. They are the rare individuals who knew you before you had a prestigious job title, before you made money, or before you built a polished public persona. They remember your awkward phases, your early failures, and your rawest dreams. You don't have to wear a professional mask around them or pretend to be perfect. There is a deep, unspoken safety in an old friendship. You can sit in absolute silence with them for an hour, and it feels completely comfortable because your trust has already been stress tested by time.
It is an unshakable emotional anchor, Simon. In the ancient world, human survival depended entirely on the tight-knit loyalty of a small tribe. We are biologically wired to crave deep, reliable alliances. When you protect and nurture your oldest friendships, you are building a psychological safety net that shields your mind from the anxiety of the modern world. You cannot buy that level of comfort. You cannot download a 30-year history. You can only earn it by showing up for people year after year, through the good times and the bad.
Beautifully put, Mia. Wealth isn't measured by the number of people who follow your public social media account. It is measured by the number of old friends who would answer your phone call at 3 a.m. on a freezing rainy night. Treasure your old alliances, maintain your roots, and never let temporary modern distractions distance you from the people who helped you build your foundation. And for our amazing listeners, if you are ready to celebrate the priceless value of true lifelong loyalty, hit that like button and subscribe right now.
Join the squad. Let's build a community rooted in real depth. Tell us in the comments below, who is your oldest friend and what is one wild adventure you survived together? Let's honor our lifelines. And if you have an old childhood friend you haven't spoken to in a while because life got too busy, hit that share button and send this section directly to them right now. Reach out and say hello.
Reconnecting with your roots grounds your character. But once your health is aligned, your art is curated, and your alliances are locked in, you finally reach the grand summit of this vintage philosophy. You discover how to view the entire arc of a human life.
The ultimate transformation of perspective.
The ultimate wisdom. Mia, we have traveled through an incredible journey today. We have examined the exhausting fatigue of modern hyperspeed culture, explored the beautiful psychological sanctuary of nostalgia, analyzed the mathematical law of the Lindy effect, unmasked the corporate deception of planned obsolescence, filtered modern noise to discover artistic masterpieces, honored our ancient evolutionary biology, and anchored our souls within tested, lifelong alliances. Now we stand at the final gate of this masterclass. When you pull all these timeless pieces together, you unlock the ultimate prize of existence. You become the sovereign sage of your own life.
Oh, Simon, it is the most beautiful realization. Modern youth-obsessed culture tries to trick people into thinking that growing older is a tragedy. They want us to stay stuck in a permanent loop of superficial youth, buying anti-aging creams, chasing temporary trends, and acting like anxious teenagers forever. But true masters understand that wrinkles are just the physical map of your victories. Gray hair isn't a sign of decay, it is a crown of absolute authority. When you value your history, you realize that time doesn't diminish you. It refines you into pure gold.
Exactly. Because information is cheap, but wisdom is incredibly rare. Today, a 20-year-old with an internet connection can look up any factual data point in 3 seconds using artificial intelligence. They have unlimited knowledge, but they lack perspective. They panic when the economy drops, they lose their minds when a relationship fails, and they get completely swept away by every passing social media trend. But a sovereign sage has the immense power of context. They have watched the seasons change, they have seen empires rise and fall, and they have survived enough personal storms to know that this too shall pass. They cannot be shaken.
They operate with an unshakable inner calm, Simon. When you reach this level of maturity, you stop performing for external validation. You don't care about looking cool to the crowd, and you don't waste a single drop of your precious energy on shallow drama. You align your life entirely with timeless virtues, like honor, integrity, patience, and deep, quiet love. You become a living library of insights for the next generation. You realize that your ultimate legacy isn't the temporary wealth you accumulate, it is the character you forged in the fire of time.
Beautifully said, Mia. And to our incredible, brilliant listeners who have completed all 8 sections of this vintage masterclass with us today, thank you. You are the rare, deep minds who refuse to be blinded by the superficial glare of modern hype. If you are ready to claim your history, respect your roots, and build a lifestyle based on timeless quality and wisdom, hit that like button one last time and subscribe to our channel right now. We are here every single week to bring you perspectives that upgrade your intellect and protect your mental focus.
Join our global family of deep thinkers. When you subscribe, you choose substance over noise. The next time the modern world tries to rush you, stress you out with a disposable trend, or make you anxious about growing older, take a deep breath. Remember your evolutionary blueprint. Lean on your tested alliances, put on a classic masterpiece, and remember why old is gold. You are building a kingdom that is meant to last.
The future belongs to the fast, but the truth belongs to the timeless, Mia. Thank you for this unforgettable exploration. And thank you to everyone at home. Stay grounded, stay deep, and remember that some things never fade.
Thank you for listening to the Mia and Simon podcast. I'm Mia.
And I am Simon. We are soaring together. Bye-bye.